Hi, Westview Wildcats. Just wanted to welcome you to the Jan Richardson Next Step in Guided Reading book study. I want to thank you so much for being here and being willing to do some learning with me over the course of this book. Just a couple things to start us off. I'll try to do a little video like this each week just to get us going. I think it's nice to just be able to get out some initial thoughts through video rather than in text. So I'll try to post one of these each week. And then I am just going to take a few minutes to kind of walk you through what the course will look like, and then we'll get into our week 1 content. So in Schoology, I have emailed you all last Friday the Schoology sorry, my walkie's going off. The Schoology code to add a course. So if you just type in and you go to courses and you type in the code, you'll be able to add our course, and in there you will find all of the materials that you need. And so it's divided out by week, and above week is the folder for the course syllabus. So if you go into the course syllabus, that's going to be a really nice outline of what we're going to be doing each week. And the basic cadence of the week will be read a chapter, try and apply something from that chapter in our classrooms, and then do some reflection questions in the discussion portion of Schoology each week. So let me know if you have any questions about how that is going to work each week, but I think it's going to be fairly simple. The other thing I want to address before we get going is that this book study is going to be a comprehensive look at guided reading K5. So if you're a 5th grade teacher and you're starting out this book, you might be feeling like, well, this doesn't really apply to what I'm doing with my kids, and vice versa. If you're a kindergarten teacher and we get to the end of the book, where we're focusing on our fluent readers, you might be thinking this doesn't really apply to what I do. And so I want to address that with just 2 quick thoughts. Number 1, what's really great about this is it allows you to service a large range of readers in your classroom, which most of us have, and so you'll be trained to service as many people as possible, as many readers as possible after that. So it'll actually be something really great for your toolbox. And then additionally, that second thing is, if you ever go and teach a different grade level, you'll have the tools that you need to work with those kiddos. So even though you might be feeling like this isn't applicable to my kids that I have right now, hang in there with me, because you're building your teacher toolbox, and that's what's amazing. I also know that we happen to have some specialists who are signed up for the course. And while the components of the guided reading lessons will absolutely apply to what you're doing, please know that we'll try to make the questions each week be reflective of what everyone can participate in, regardless of if you are a specialist or a whole group teacher. So I hope all of that makes sense. Let me know if something doesn't. I know I see all of you all the time, but you can certainly send me an email. I'll try to check the emails in Schoology, but probably just a regular email would be better. Okay, so let's start talking about week 1. So this week we are going to be focusing on the introduction and the guided reading essentials chapter, which is chapter 1. So we're going to read the introduction in chapter 1. And I put copies of these chapters in your boxes Friday afternoon because the books took much longer to get here than Kathy and I thought. So they should be here about mid next week. Well, mid this week it would be. So as soon as they're here, I will get them to you. But just for now, just for the introduction in chapter 1, please just read the paper copies. I'm really sorry. I thought I had left plenty of time, but apparently that's not the way it's working. So anyway, we're gonna be reading the introduction and that first chapter. And the focuses of the introduction are really to describe what a balanced reading block looks like, which is going to fit with a lot of the work we're doing this year around literacy anyway, so that's going to be great. And just kind of identifying those 4 components of a literacy block. So we know we've got guided reading, read aloud, shared reading, and that independent reading that we also talked about in our ERD. So talking about each of those components, and know please that they're very general in this book because the focus is truly guided reading. And so if you're interested in deepening your knowledge on any one of the other guided or the literacy block components, please know that they're coming in ERDs. And if you don't want to wait for an ERD, let me know. I'd be happy to do that with you. Perhaps we could make it a coaching cycle or something like that. So once we understand the components of a solid reading block, we're going to be looking at the components of a solid guided reading lesson, okay? And I want to be really clear here that this book is focused on what you're actually doing with your small group at your table, okay? What the rest of the class is doing is briefly mentioned in chapter 1, but it is certainly not comprehensive. And again, if you're interested in learning about that, let me know. We could make that a coaching cycle or something else that we work on throughout the year, because again, there are entire texts written on that independent piece of what students can be doing while you're pulling small groups, okay? So we're gonna do that reading, and then we're gonna do some reflection on our own classroom. So we're gonna be asked to think about our own classroom, and if there's any high leverage changes that we need to make based on the information in the chapter so that we're ready to start pulling groups, okay? I think many of you have already started, but perhaps after reading the chapter, there is something that you're thinking maybe you could improve upon or that you'd like to change. And then the other component we're going to think about this week is getting to know our students as individual readers. So I know that you've spent lots of time doing this already, but what we're going to do is try to implement a comprehension interview with as many students as possible. And I thought a really great time to do this would just be that other 10 minutes we have during our intervention period, that first thing in the morning. And the reason that we want to do this is because we want to get to know the fluency of our readers better. We want to get to know their interests, and just to hear them read more and talk to them about it and understand if they're reading just right books and if they're comprehending. So we want to take a look at those comprehension interviews, and then we're just going to do some simple reflections on those components. So I really feel like this is going to be a great week to start out. You'll find those comprehension interviews in the week 1 folder. And then also in there is the discussion post, and I've just posted a couple brief questions, and the hope is that you can post at some point early in the week and then reply to someone else's post later on in the week. So the expectation for attendance is that you post and then you reply to somebody else, okay? And that is the attendance that I will have to turn in at the end. So please make sure that you're doing that. I hope everything makes sense. I hope that you found that beneficial. And let me know what questions you have. I'm super excited to get started, and go Wildcats!